Yeah, so hi everybody, and thank you so much for coming today. I'll try to speak in that as I go. So my name is Claire Prouvost. I'm a French visual artist, and I've been living and working in Dublin for the last 7 years. So I'll introduce my work a little bit. So what I do is quite a varied practice across kind of different fields. My background is in graphic design and product design, and then I took like a slight turn to illustration and kind of started discovering a visual identity and a voice. And from that evolved different practices, including like painting murals, like the big one you can see on the left that's in Waterford, and some commercial illustration, so illustration applied to a brand, a product, something anyway to express or promote and work with clients. So like that shampoo bottle you can see on the top right or left, whatever side you are on. And then more recently some kind of canvas and painting work, which I've started to explore really in the last year and a half. So that means I spend quite a bit of time on sometimes a cherry picker and painting outdoors whenever the weather can permit it in Ireland. But it's a very fun, rewarding job that takes you out of the studio, and I do enjoy kind of learning new techniques and new things. And that's kind of a little bit the theme of the talk today, is trying to navigate all of these fields from one visual kind of style or identity or voice or something that I want to express, and how my path kind of made me take different mediums and try to explore different fields. So that's why I'm talking a little bit about depth and how, like when you study, so I studied graphic design and product design, and that's such a wide kind of field. You don't know what outcome will be at the end for you. And you go to college, and then you've got all of these incredible like schools, and maybe you can do architecture, product design, graphic design, and I found it very confusing when I was 18. I knew I wanted to do design. I knew I wanted to have a creative job. I just didn't know how I would navigate these waters. So I kind of like started with graphic design, product design, and kind of went more into depth. And through that kind of journey, I discovered kind of through people and through going down the rabbit holes in kind of discovering and learning more about like creativity and fields. And actually moving to Dublin was a big part of that, because working with like graphic design studios and then illustrators, that opened up like a brand new world. And then from illustrators, I talked to mural artists, and that opened up something else. And then you go to exhibitions or talks or places like here, you discover new artists, and you kind of go deeper and deeper into like the variety and options that you can have within that field. So for me, like most people, I loved drawing as a child. I was not the worst at drawing, not the best. And that was like my kind of sketchbook, let's say 6 or 7 years ago. And I didn't really have a style as per se, but I had good observational skills, and I loved to work with color. So yes, I could draw a portrait and kind of my surroundings, but that was pretty much it. I kind of didn't really have a voice or found a visual language. So you can see like these first sketches are like my work colleagues when I was like an intern in graphic design. And then I started using a bit more color. So more towards the end of the slideshow, I started using some yellow and primary colors. And that was the start of something. I was like, I like to draw people and I love color. So I'll try to pair one and one together and just try to evolve from there. And that's when I came across the 100-day project. So I don't know if you've ever heard about this project. It was initiated by a design tutor in Yale. And every year he would get his students to pick a theme and do it for 100 days. And that can be anything. So that's a student that picked up a color card every day and tried to pair words with it. And so it became quite a poetic exploration and a writing exploration associated with colors. Some people decided to take apart a little plastic soldier in a different way every day, taking the head apart and like making it a different little, I don't know, exploded thing every day. One person chose to take a picture of themselves with a chair in 100 different ways for 100 days. And this man at the very bottom actually decided to record himself dancing on 100 songs over 100 days. So you get the idea. So the idea of the 100-day project is really to do 100 days of creativity in whatever it is that you would like to explore. It can be as simple as dancing in front of your camera every day for 2 seconds and putting together a clip. It can be like the color cards, taking a photo, writing a note and putting these notes together to create a short story at the end of it. And obviously for drawing and painting, it's a challenge that took off on Instagram, where people would start together and post 100 days of whatever it is they're doing, and kind of share each other's work. So I took that on in 2018, and that was one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it gave me structure, I suppose, and like kind of a project. And at the time I was going through like a breakup and all of these things, and I needed a bit of structure. I needed a plan for my life, and I was like, I love drawing, and this feels like a great life-changing challenge that will just grow my practice, and just I'll grow out of this. So I took a little notebook and a tiny A5 sketchbook and drew like little squares and started taking my gouache, only 3 colors, primary colors. And I was like, I'll just draw and paint 100 kind of portraits of women I found on Instagram or Pinterest. I'll paint them for 100 days with these 3 colors in that small format. And from that, like, I really started to explore and have fun and discover the medium and discover my topic. I really like to paint people, I really like to draw people, so that really comforted me in that direction, while also evolving a visual language and a better understanding of color, of composition, and just being better with my tools and what it is that I wanted to do. So that was kind of like day 1. I mean, it's not the worst drawing, but it's definitely not the best. And then that was day 100, and I think there is a lot more maybe confidence and understanding of the colors, of mixing. Even though I started with 3 tubes, I started like playing with the texture, mixing the colors, getting different types of orange, just trying to understand how colors were interacting and what made an interesting visual and picture. And yeah, the 100-day project, so that's the founder, so his name is Michael Beard. He said, what exactly is the point of this project? I've always had a fascination with the ways that creative people balance inspiration and discipline in their working lives. And in fairness, we really don't do that. Like most of the time, discipline is really hard. It's easy to be energized when you're in the grip of a big idea. But what do you do when you don't have anything to work with? Just stay in bed? Writers have this figured out. It's amazing how many of them have a rigid routine. And he was referring in that article to a person that would, at the same time of the day, would go down, would get dressed, put on a tie, get into his elevator, go down to the basement and write until the day was over, and he would just go back in the elevator to his room. And like that was the rigidity that he kind of needed to write a book. But I mean, that's not very appealing, but the 100-day project is kind of a system or a thing. Like you go through phases of frustration, of trying to understand, is this boring at some stage? You've done that for 20 days, if you get through 20 days. And like you get through all of these phases within yourself that are a great source of learning and inspiration as well to feed a creative project and just getting to know yourself better. So that's what the point of the 100-day project is, to me. And from that point in my kind of work, I was in a role. I was like, oh, I've drawn for 100 days, amazing. I never completed anything in my life, so let alone drawing for 100 days straight. Like, that was a huge challenge. And after that, like, I guess I started to make things a little bit more abstract. And that's something I was always attracted to, and from a lot of details and texture, which I'm kind of coming back to now. I tried simplifying things, again, trying to explore what it is that I liked and the visual languages that I was trying to grow there. And one thing that helped me, so from graphic design, it's a very natural route to go down to illustration. It's still a brief applied to a client, a style applied to something often commercial, which I don't come from a fine art background at all, so it's like baby steps kind of in that direction. But from graphic design, you kind of look for clients, look for ways to sell your work. And what was really fun actually for me was to try to apply that newly found style to as many mediums as possible. So I've done some packaging, I've done some beers. Right there, it's like some washable period pads. I've done like bags. I've done so many projects where you work with different people that are trying to get you to work in a certain light or just apply your style to their brand and universe and like things, which I found really interesting for a while. And sometimes, like, you get absolutely beautiful projects. That was for like a design that was put on scarves for cancer survivors and cancer patients, so they can like wrap their head in the scarf, and like that's one example anyway for me that a meaningful project and a meaningful cause to apply my art to is that you can really apply like your artwork and colors and style to so many things and get a bit more color into, I suppose, people's lives, and just having people wearing what you've done is just an incredible feeling, I suppose. Anyway, and that led kind of on, when I moved to Dublin, I started noticing a lot of street art, and quite naturally from that illustration, tiny little scene, because everything is so small in Ireland, you get quickly to know people in your field. And illustration is quite a small field, and then linked to that is the mural street art kind of world, and you have a lot of events, you have a lot of people that are very open-minded and willing to take you, come down and paint with us. So I kind of started applying again to a new medium and having my illustration not only living in a digital or commercial world, but living in the real world where it would be seen by people that wouldn't necessarily be on Instagram or buying these products. And I found that interaction really interesting. It's feeding my work in a lot of ways when, sometimes people are telling you like, oh yeah, I don't like it. Or like they walk by it and they're like, yeah, I don't know, what is this about? And like you get all sorts of interactions, and also people that are like, I absolutely love it and this is brilliant. But yeah, you get all sorts of feedback and conversations with people, and that is what I find a meaningful way to interact with the audience and the people that are seeing your art. So in this case, like you have some commercial more pieces, maybe on the top right for Kildare Village, but the rest is all like street art that was done like working with city councils or festivals, and that are very like grassroots, I suppose, kind of initiatives from the community, and just a genuine want from the people living in the area to get some more colors on the walls of their city. And there's a huge sense of pride as well in them doing that and bringing an artist every year, or I don't know, every few weeks sometimes, to come down and paint. So I come from a very small part of France that's very rural, and it's called Dordogne, and actually I have one person here from there today. And it's a very rural and very like small, like you have no big cities, nothing in Dordogne. And I never grew up around graffiti or anything like that triggered something about street art or anything. But in that region where I grew up, you have the grotto of Lascaux, which are like some of the oldest I suppose, mural painted by humans. So these are about 19,000 years old and have been revealed, I think, in the early 1900s. And since this is closed to the public, because there is a lot of bacteria from people entering the caves and breathing, it's actually damaging the paintings. So they've made a replica of Lascaux that you can visit, but that's not the original. But so that's kind of, I suppose, the earliest style of graffiti, and growing up in that region, like, you can't avoid it. You have like castle, prehistoric this, prehistoric that, grottos, caves to go to, like all sorts of like history and very old human history that is there. And they're absolutely beautiful painting. If you do get a chance to go there, it's such an interesting thing to see. And to come back to Dublin, one thing that was really amazing here is just, as I said, the network. And there is a street art, so all-female collective, and we're all kind of painting together. And that network was really encouraging. And like there is a Mino collective as well. That was a really great support network to just grow and try to understand and learn more about the tools and the techniques, and like it's such a great like group of people, and it's also a great support as well for like new artists, more established artists, and it's been such a lift kind of in my career, and like getting to know just such lovely girls and getting to work with them on different projects. And more recently now, so all that path going more in depth into getting to know people around here and getting to see more and more things that are feeding my work. The latest kind of opportunity was to get an exhibition in Hangtov Contemporary earlier this year, and I had to produce a brand new body of work. I never actually painted on canvas more than just messing around as a child. And I had to produce from all of what I showed you some actual paintings on canvas. And what would make this different to a mural or a digital illustration on the iPad? And trying to explore and understand as well, again, new compositions, new tools, new techniques, and how to try to bring life to this that will make it different and also enjoyable for myself to try to work with. And yeah, so all through that journey, I suppose the theme that I really kind of kept is the body and characters, and more like my natural way of expressing myself is really to represent the female form. And I don't have like a huge reason for that, but I suppose what I love about it is just being able to extract some shapes out of our different limbs and exaggerate them and create texture within them to make characters that are quite, I suppose, juicy and colourful. And to me, like, that makes who we are. Like, we're all made of different shapes and people and history and personalities and bad moments, good moments, and pieces by pieces, like this big thing is just us and who we are, and we're all kind of different, and we have maybe a bigger side of one thing and a smaller side of another. So I'm really trying to depict that with my painting, and it's also a landscape of like our internal feelings and emotions and things or interactions that I'm trying to showcase. And this comes back a little bit to, again, like more primitive maybe forms of art, where the limbs were kind of really exaggerated, and there is a softness and some kind of personality coming out of the sculpture, and the texture on these are absolutely beautiful to look at as well. And you can only imagine the story. So a lot of people were saying it was about fertility and kind of beauty standards at the time, but there are more recent studies that say that it could have been as well how it's about surviving, like how did you survive like really cold winters, and the food and diet. It was also a representation of like what life at the time could have been. So I find them very beautiful because from one simple figurine you can say so much about like a time, about a vision, representation of beauty, about tough winters, about fertility and sexuality as well. And they come in all shapes and forms, which I find absolutely fascinating, in all sorts of crafts, wood, stone, so many like elongated necks, big breasts, but also some, I don't know, some parts of the body you wouldn't think of showcasing really now. Apparently long necks were a real thing at the time, when now, well, I don't know if that's really part of the beauty standards. So that was obviously a big influence, just like the way these sculptures and statuettes, sorry, I don't know the word, like our little personas are living into an environment, but also the paintings and the work of cubist artists was also a huge influence, and a huge attraction for the use of colors and shapes and how they interact and create stories with that. And obviously the first name that comes to mind is Picasso, but I'm a little bit sick of it's always about Picasso, right? When actually in the cubist art movement, and apparently he was not a very nice person as well, and particularly in his relationships to women. So in the cubist art movement, you actually have like cubist, female cubist artists. You have an array of artists that have tried and experiment things. You even have like many Gillette here as well in Ireland that experimented with colors and shapes following some French kind of school. And the work of two people I really admire are Albert Glaise and André Lotte, so two French cubist artists from the time, that really do explore the body. And on the left, it's almost like I don't know, it's some kind of anxiety depicted in the face or in the picture, or something that's coming in all sorts of place. And I don't know, there is a certain dynamic that I really enjoy and can evoke a lot of stories. And on the right, you have something a lot softer and kind of inviting and intimate, and the textures are just lovely. So yeah, it's just like some part of the work that I really enjoy and really inspire my practice. And also Le Corbusier, which we all know for his architectural work, but he was actually doing a lot of painting and drawings, and his interaction and combination of shapes, textures, line, and bold colors is just stunning, in my opinion. So that's also like a reference point that I love to give when I know a lot of people, when they see my paintings or my work, they're like, oh yeah, Picasso, right? I'm like, well, yeah, but there's also so much more to that movement than just the one person. Yeah, so that's kind of on the inspiration side. And so all of that is really how I chose to represent bodies and kind of my own body, because that's the way I experience life as. Like I walk in this world in my body, and like it kind of made sense for me to express things through limbs, through some kind of like, yeah, how does the body work, the body exist in this world, and what presence does it give? So a lot of my work revolves around that, and I do take bits and pieces from all of this kind of path that I've been through, all of these influences and things that are around me, and now I really just love to create compositions, and I've reached a stage anyway where I'm kind of happy to explore these themes and shapes and textures for a long time. So that's more the studio and canvas work that I'm doing at the moment, and I'm really enjoying like layering colors, layering textures, giving more depth again to the painting, and just trying to get people to see stories, or something might grab your attention, and then it's up to your own personal interpretation to put the pieces back together, I suppose, and see what you want to see as well within these paintings and interpretation of the body form. So yeah, that's kind of like what at some stage, like that, going down and down the rabbit hole, you kind of find a place where you want to kind of slow down and explore and take more time to kind of understand where all of this kind of came from. And this is a little bit like the little parachute effect, just kind of slowing down and reflecting and looking at your environment and being like, wow, this has been some kind of journey, and there's still so much to come ahead, and like going deeper and deeper in this practice and meeting new people and being exposed to new mediums and things. But it's also very nice to take the time to kind of reflect and see how much has happened in one's journey and what really helped to develop kind of an artistic practice in the meantime. So really, I mean, it's a bit of a cheesy way to end this, but it's all about like enjoying the process and all these phases we kind of go through, and like from the kind of dark places, being able to set yourself with maybe a 100-day project or any kind of like project that will develop in some way your creative kind of spirit or practice or whatever it is that interests you, and to try to just push it a little bit further. And who knows where these things will get you. I mean, I would have never imagined to be doing what I'm doing now. And if anything, I always thought in college, like, illustration kind of sucks and I don't want to be doing this. And like, I'm a graphic designer, I'm this. And all of this, like, throughout the years, it just changes, it evolves. And yeah, it's a bit silly reflecting on that, thinking like I had such a close state of mind, and then things just kind of take a new turn, and you kind of have to enjoy the journey and the process and learning from all of these experiences. And well, so that's it. I guess we're back to the start. Thank you very much.